Okay, today I'm going to compare the SmallRig, KNF Concept, and Telesin cages for the Action 6, which were sent to me for free in exchange of making this video. So first of all, why would you use a cage with your action camera? Reason number one is if you want to add further protection to your action camera, it will basically act like a case for your phone, if you will, to protect the camera from falls, drops, etc. And reason number two is if you want to add additional accessories to your action camera, like let's say for example you want to add a light to see better in all conditions, or maybe you want to improve the audio quality with your shotgun microphone, you can just take it, put it in the cold shoe mount, and basically have better audio quality. All right, now here are the prices for all of these cages. The KNF Concept is $40, but if you use the code ROMA at checkout on the KNF website, you'll get extra 20% off, which will reduce the price to $32. But also if you shop on AliExpress, you will get much cheaper prices. For example, I was able to find the SmallRig cage for only $21, and then the Telesin cage for about $23, $24. So if you want the cheapest prices, make sure to use AliExpress. Links are going to be down below. Now, in terms of build quality, all of these cages have fantastic metal build quality and they feel extremely premium and robust. But if I had to choose just one in terms of like build quality, I would say the SmallRig one feels the most beefy and premium, if you will. Next, let's check the weight of each cage. Here's the KNF Concept one, 69.1 grams. Here is the SmallRig one, 71.5 grams. And then here is the Telesin one, 63.8 grams. So the SmallRig one is definitely the heaviest, but keep in mind that it already has a 1/4-inch thread at the bottom mounted to the cage, whereas the other two do not have this. And if you want to mount, let's say, a plate to your camera, you would have to use something like this. This is basically like a magnetic adapter for your DJI action camera. It adds like a 1/4-inch thread to your camera, and also the GoPro mount, action camera mount and whatnot. All right, now let's take a look around the cages. Here is how all of them look on top. The SmallRig one has a 1/4-inch thread with RE locking pins, whereas the other two do not. The other two have dedicated buttons to press the record button, and I would say the Telesin one feels a bit better than the KNF Concept one. On the SmallRig, you just have a cutout for the record button and that's it. And also the cold shoe mount is in the center, more or less, on the KNF one and Telesin one, and then on the SmallRig one, it's right above the lens, more or less. And they all basically have the same mechanism to open the cage. You just press the button, slide in the camera, and then close this. Here's the SmallRig one. Pretty much the same mechanism. And here is the one from KNF. Let me now flip them to the side. And here you can see you have like a button for the power button on the camera, which makes it a bit better, to turn on the camera. It makes it a bit more convenient, if you will. And then on the SmallRig one, you have like a small cutout for the power button, and then a small cutout for the USB-C port to charge the camera. And on the Telesin one, you just have a big cutout basically for everything. And here at the bottom, again, you have like a big cutout for the bottom of the camera, for the magnetic mount of the camera. On the SmallRig one, you have the 1/4-inch thread, like I said before, with RE locking pins. And I believe you can also remove this part if you remove these bolts, but unfortunately I don't have a proper Allen key to test it out. And then on the Telesin cage, the cutout is slightly smaller than the one from KNF, but you can still fit something like this, like a magnetic adapter. As you can see, it fits perfectly. And then with the KNF one, there's a bit more space, but both of the cages will fit something like this magnetic adapter. And then on the other side, you have vertical mounts on all of the cages with RE locking pins and 1/4-inch threads on basically each cage. Right now, a very important thing I want to test is how much of an access you have to the record button when you mount something like a microphone. So let me put it on the smaller cage, and I have clear access to the record button, as you can see. There's no like dedicated button for the button on the camera, but I can clearly access the button and start recording. The cold shoe is right on the left side, so it's not going to bother the button in here. Now, on the Telesin, it's a bit more tight, but I can still relatively easily access the record button. The microphone is not really touching the record button or something like that. And then with the KNF one, the microphone is actually touching the button. And if I'm going to tighten it, it's extremely inconvenient to actually access the record button in here. And I don't know if you can see, but it actually presses the button, the microphone itself. So I would say the best design here is the one from SmallRig, because the cold shoe is pretty far away from the record button, and then the Telesin one has like a good middle ground of having enough space for the button, but then also keeping the microphone almost in the center. And I would say the worst one is the KNF Concept design, but obviously this will vary depending on the accessory you will use. If you want to be as safe as possible, definitely get the SmallRig one, but I would say the Telesin is also not a bad design either. So honestly, if it was me, I would probably pick the SmallRig cage, mainly because the record button and the cold shoe mount are pretty far away from each other, which means I can mount any accessory I want and still access the record button relatively easily. Also, it has a 1/4" thread on top, whereas the other two do not have this option, which is nice if you want to mount like a magic arm to your action cage. And at the same time, it already has a 1/4" thread on the bottom, so I can easily take my camera plate so I can mount the action camera to my tripod basically. But you let me know down below what you think and which one you would recommend, and also don't forget to check out the links down below at the same time. So thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.